In Privacy Watch, Facebook announced a number of data-related changes to its platform during its yearly F8 conference. CEO Mark Zuckerberg addressed thousands of app developers yesterday. He says the company is getting into online dating. Yeah, and also announced new privacy settings. Users will be able to delete their browsing history soon. Here's John Blackstone from San Jose, California.
This is an important moment. We need to do more to keep people safe, and we will.
Mark Zuckerberg says he's doubling down on his pledge to improve Facebook's security, giving users more control over their privacy.
You're going to be able to use this tool to see the information about the apps and websites you've interacted with. You'll be able to clear all this information.
Zuckerberg shied away from apologizing for his company's recent shortcomings, a sharp departure from his testimony before Congress just 3 weeks ago.
It was my mistake, and I'm sorry.
To try to win back users' trust and attention, Zuckerberg also vowed to keep building, unveiling a host of new features and products.
We're rolling out something that we call Watch Party. We're launching a new Groups tab. We are announcing a new set of features coming soon around dating.
Zuckerberg says Facebook's dating service is intended to help users find meaningful long-term relationships.
There are 200 million people on Facebook who list themselves as single, so clearly there's something to do here.
The announcement sent shares of online dating company Match plummeting 22% by the end of the day.
Facebook, they look at whatever in the market and they try to do it better.
But cybersecurity expert Ahmed Benafa says convincing Facebook users its new products are secure might still be an uphill battle.
Protecting the privacy of the customers is the biggest thing for them now, so they can regain the trust. And Mark and his team, this is one of the toughest times they've ever seen in their life.
Izzy Lepowski is a senior writer for Wired. What's up?
Hi, thanks for having me.
So listen, on Twitter, you wrote that Zuckerberg started his speech by repeating the same thing he had said to reporters and to Congress almost verbatim. I mean, I don't want to draw comparisons to a South Park episode where Mark Zuckerberg was played as sort of like this robot,
yeah.
Right? But it does seem very South Parky.
It's true. I mean, I could pretty much give this speech by heart. Pretty much every time he says, you know, we're an idealistic company. We, focus on the good. We focused on, how Facebook was helping victims of Hurricane Harvey, which it was. And then he says, but it's clear we didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibilities. I've heard him say this exact phrase about 20 times in the last few weeks. But because this is a developer conference, he also said, while we fix all the things we broke, we've got to keep moving forward, because I think that's what he thinks developers want to hear. But I'm not sure that it's clear that all of the advancements that he's announcing and saying that they're making and in this push to move forward are going to really please the public that really wants them to fix the stuff that's broken first.
Right. So let's talk about some of those things that he's implementing. What about this clear history option? He says it's going to dampen people's experience on Facebook because preferences will change. Will this help Facebook in the long term? So
Mark Zuckerberg said that he basically came to the conclusion that Facebook needed something like this, sort of like clearing your browser history for Facebook, after the congressional hearings. He said that basically he was sort of unfamiliar with some of the ways that Facebook is collecting people's browsing history off of Facebook, which is sort of shocking for the CEO of Facebook. But he said afterwards he realized that this is something that really people want. Facebook has always thought that the more we know about you, the better an experience we can give you on Facebook. But it's clear now that people feel that that is sort of not a bargain that they really thought that they were signing up for. They want this ability to control their data. They want the ability to control what Facebook knows about them. So they're giving them that ability. And Mark Zuckerberg says, well, Facebook might not be as good now if you clear all the stuff that we know about you, but I guess that depends on your definition of Facebook being good.
Right, but the clear history option, does that mean clear the history of everything I've posted, or does it mean clear the history of what Facebook knows about me and what they're tracking?
Exactly, clear the history of what Facebook knows about me, what apps I've interacted with, what websites I've interacted with offline. Facebook offers advertisers something called a pixel, and so what that means is if a website has a Facebook pixel on it and you visit that website, Facebook knows about it. And they know not only that you visited the site, but what part of the site you visited. Did you linger on the checkout page? Did you linger on a certain item? And all of that feeds their ad algorithms. And so this is changing the way you have control over what they know about you.
All right, let's talk about this like dating option, I guess, or function that Facebook is going to introduce. I already feel like Facebook is kind of used for dating, because you meet somebody, you friend them on Facebook, and then, hey, like, want to meet for coffee, you know, because
yes.
I met you last week at a party. I mean, that's exactly literally how my girlfriend and I like started dating. So,
wow.
I mean, I'm just throwing that out there as like an example of how Facebook has already, I think, been used to connect people. What is this new option?
So this is a separate product where basically you'll set up your own separate dating profile. You don't have to. It's an opt-in. And it's completely separate, they say, from your Facebook profile. So your dating information will never be shown on your Facebook profile.
So you have more chances to create like this alter ego type / image of yourself on this like dating app version of Facebook, as opposed to your real you.
Exactly. I mean, they're asking for more issues. Obviously, there are tremendous harassment risks that come along with running a dating site. There are huge companies. You know, the Match Group is a massive company just focused on this one thing. Think of all the things Facebook is trying to fix right now, and now it's creating this whole other beast that could introduce a whole other wave of issues for them. And obviously, the Match Group and Tinder and all those companies are going to be pretty concerned, but I think Facebook should be pretty concerned about getting this right too.
It is interesting that we noted, John Blackstone did, that Match.com, the stock went down tremendously, as if people on one hand know that Facebook is facing a litany of issues, but then they still have a lot of faith in Zuckerberg and his team of developers in getting certain things right when it comes to technology.
Well, it's that and the market size, right? You know, getting somebody to join a dating app, that's a big ask.
Right, but good point.
The bar is lowered, I think, now in the age of Tinder, but if you're already on Facebook, this is a much closer step to onboarding more users. They already have 2.2 billion users. This is a global network. So I think that that's what Match Group is concerned about, the size and scale.
What would be really not good is if all of a sudden you find yourself, like, you know how sort of like Facebook, everything you sort of have to opt out of things on Facebook? What if you all of a sudden found yourself on this dating website and you're like, wait, I'm not meant to be on here. I don't think they're going to make that mistake. But catfishing is going to be a problem. Sure.
I mean, as it is on Facebook as well.
I can see that.
Yeah. So.
All right, let's talk about one last thing. Parliament is threatening in the UK, threatening Mark Zuckerberg with a formal summons. Do you think we'll see a difference in his testimony should he be called to Parliament?
Well, I think Parliament was dissatisfied that Facebook sent their CTO when they had specifically asked for Mark Zuckerberg, and Mark Zuckerberg did appear to Congress. So here it seems like they're saying, well, the UK and the Brexit referendum, fake news here is not as important as it was in the US. So I think they weren't very happy about that, and they want to make their point that they are important, and Mark Zuckerberg deserve to hear from Mark Zuckerberg himself. I don't think that when he comes there, they're going to hear anything different. But I will say,
I would say, like, look, tell your flacks to write something different for you when you go to a different country.
True, but I will say the Parliament is way more prepared for these hearings than we've seen the U.S. Congress be.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think part of it is that it's less partisan. I think part of it is that they build off of each other's questions. Nobody gets on their soapbox. They realize that, you know, one question has sort of been beat to death, and they're going to move on, and they build and build and build. So every hearing with the Facebook CTO, with other people who have been called to Congress from Cambridge Analytica and things like that, you've really seen a much more thorough interrogation. They don't have these, you know, 4-minute restrictions. You know, they can ask you questions for 45 minutes if they want. So I think a lot of people have been much more impressed by the line of questioning in Parliament than in Congress. So
you don't think that the MPs are going to be asking about Diamond and Silk?
I would doubt that.
All right. In other news, Facebook is launching a civil rights audit, which is going to have an impact, they say, on underrepresented communities and review potential political bias, which is some of the things that members of Congress were talking about. So I guess the question becomes, what can Facebook do to make sure all parties are treated fairly? Well,
I think Facebook, you know, has a lot of systems in place. They released their content moderation guidebook last week, and a lot of people, I think, were looking, are there some rules that, you know, would discourage conservative content? No, they don't explicitly exist. But I think to satisfy all parties, they're going to let people in to say, here, look at what we have, look at what we're doing, look at our content moderation policies. Tell us what we're doing wrong if you really feel that we are, or maybe set the record straight about the fact that we're doing as much as we can, and as far as conservative versus liberal content goes, we're getting it right. They're also bringing in people to vet their civil rights implications of Facebook. So we've seen, issues in the past where advertisers can exclude certain demographics from housing advertisements, where advertisers can target ads to really disgusting, interest categories like Jew hater. Facebook has fixed some of these problems, but it's the unknown problems that I think they have trouble seeing. So that's what these other auditors are going to be looking for.
I guess finally, is it at all, when people are dissatisfied with a product or with a place of business, they can choose not to go to that place of business. They can choose not to buy that product. But I wonder if when it comes to technology, if that's just much harder, because your online presence is sort of always on. It's always there. And opting out of Facebook, where so much of your life for some people is tied into what happens there, is it just harder to distance yourself or even do away completely with? In other words, I guess my question is, will Facebook lose market share? Will they lose people, consumers, because of the issues that they've been facing? We
haven't seen that yet, and I think you're right. There is, and this came up in Congress, there is not an alternative to Facebook. So if you have a problem with GM, you buy a different car. If you have a problem with GE, you buy a different refrigerator. With Facebook, there's really only one, and if you opt out, maybe people who don't use it say, oh, I don't need it, but I think that a lot of people who use it now would say, well, I miss it. I miss that connection that I have. And Mark Zuckerberg's right when he says that there is a lot of good that Facebook does, but so I think that it's a lot to ask to say people should just opt out of Facebook. There are places in the world where Facebook is the entire internet. I think we need to focus on fixing Facebook, not just opting out.
Great point. Izzy Lepowski, always great to have you. Thank you so much.